Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to Adam McKola TV. I am Adam. We are live, and of course, we are talking Manchester United against Tottenham Hotspur. Manchester United's next fixture in the Premier League, and it is, of course, a big one as Jose Mourinho will be back at Old Trafford as a manager. We've already seen him back at Old Trafford recently for obviously punditry reasons. He's had a good reception on both occasions, and I'm sure he will get a good reception tomorrow. But nevertheless, it's business time. United need 3 points, and when that whistle goes, he is on the opposition side and he is a rival, and I'm sure all the niceties will end there. But before the game, at the end of the game, I'm sure he'll get an applause from the Manchester United faithful, given the 2 trophies that he did win for the club. And he's never really said a bad word about the fans, has he, since leaving? So I'm sure he will get a good reception, and that won't change unless he does something mad. Unless he does something mad, start sticking fingers up to everyone, or something crazy only Jose Mourinho could do. So yeah, it's going to be a good reception for Jose Mourinho tomorrow at Old Trafford. But like I say, that's where it ends. Manchester United need 3 points. We've seen in the last 2 Premier League games, United let victories slip against newly promoted sides from winning position. It's awful. We should have been keeping those wins. We should have had 4 more points on the table, yet we don't. And we've done that a number of times this season, dropped points from winning positions, and it's quite simply not good enough. It needs to be a lot better from Manchester United, and that's possibly something to do with having a younger side. Of course, when you have younger players, you're going to have inconsistencies in performance, in consistency, in finishing, and things. You're going to have inconsistent players. That's of course going to happen. But also, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer deserves some of the criticism that he is getting within reason. I don't mean the vitriol and the abuse, and I don't mean the over-the-top stuff. I mean the fair criticism in terms of some of his substitutions, in terms of some of his team selection, in terms of some of his tactics, in terms of some of his in-game management. It hasn't always been good enough, and some of that has meant that we have dropped points where you'd think we shouldn't be dropping points. So that needs to improve as well. What we have seen from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, though, in the bigger games, in the games like Tottenham, it was one of his, I remember one of the earlier games under him, we won it 1-0 away from home at Wembley, Marcus Rashford scoring. It was a perfect tactical performance, and I think Ollie is a bit better in the bigger games, setting up against big opposition. But when we're expected to make the play, when we're expected to force the play and force things and make things happen and create those chances and score those goals, we fail to do it. And when we're chasing games, we look better. And that reminds me of things at times under Mourinho, at times under Van Gaal, when we complained about, 0-0, we're pretty poor. Go 1-0 down, we're a little bit better. And we're seeing that from this Manchester United side. Chasing something, we're all right. Against Sheffield United, when we were chasing that, once we got to 2-1 and we could sniff that there was something there and we were chasing it, we looked great. Have 3-2 and try and hold on to something, and we looked awful, and it always looked like their goal was coming. And that goes down to not only experience and consistency from the players, but also the manager's management. What is he doing with his team selection? What is he doing with his in-game management, his changes of formation, his changes of tactics, and his substitutions? Because once a game kicks off, that's the only way a manager can change things. And we have at times, you have to give him, praise at times. We have seen his substitutions change things. But there's been far too often where we haven't, or we've waited too long to make a change, and it's cost us. So we need to be a little bit better from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in that. Otherwise, his job is going to be under criticism. I did a video yesterday on the channel, which you can check out after we're finished here, called The Nightmare Before Christmas. Because like I said in March, I didn't want the club to do a knee-jerk reaction and appoint him. I was scared of that, because I never wanted to be in a position where we had a club legend out of his depth in charge of the team and we're looking to sack him. That's a horrible place to be in. And funnily enough, it's one that could be coming true very, very soon if results don't turn their way. Because yes, you can point to positivity off the field in terms of what is changing behind the scenes. You can point to, You know, we needed more signings. We do need more signings. He needs more transfer windows. You can point to all those things, but also you have to get results. You have to get results to be allowed to be given that time. And if you're not, and if you have a win ratio of 27%, then you're going to come under fire, and the criticism will be warranted in my opinion. I'm of course a little bit more level-headed, a little bit more reasonable, a little bit more balanced with it, but he's going to get criticism, and you have to expect it, especially whoa, what's going on there, especially as a Manchester United manager. Sorry about that, I was just trying to fix the camera and I nearly broke it. Let me dive into some of your comments anyway. Pogba needs to play at the number 10 when he returns. Ilya thinks it'll be a draw. John D is watching all the way from Miami. Thank you for tuning in. Nicholas thinks Poch is coming. We've obviously heard the rumours today, and the champion is commenting on those as well, that Poch is waiting on Manchester United, which I'm sure could absolutely be rubbish, or it could be true. Stoic Savage, thank you for the nice comment, mate. I do appreciate it. Danny Hartree Smith, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching us on the kickoff as well. Really enjoyed it this week. Hopefully be back on again soon. We can't beat Tottenham, man. We don't have a good midfield. Hopefully Scott McTominay will be back. That is one bit of team news that we do have, that Scott McTominay could be back in the team very, very soon. Obviously, no Paul Pogba. He's not back yet. He's only just got back into training after his ankle injury. Scott McTominay could be back in the mix, though. We really do need midfielders. That Pereira-Fred double in the midfield isn't working. We looked a little bit better with McTominay and Fred in there. I think Fred looks a little bit better alongside McTominay as well. When he doesn't really have to do the dirty stuff, McTominay will do that. Yes, we expect him to break up play and try and win challenges and stuff. But when he's the player that's kind of asked to try and find spaces, try and pick passes and move around, I think Fred's looked a little bit better recently. Alongside Pereira, they haven't looked good at all. So getting Scott McTominay back is vital. And I do actually think, that Ollie will probably go back to the back three in this game. It's something that I could possibly see coming. Lindelof hasn't looked great recently, but I do think he'll keep his spot. I think he'll bring Twanzebe. And if you remember for the Liverpool game, we were going to play a back three with Twanzebe. In the end, he pulled out of the warm-up and Marcus Rojo replaced him. But playing Twanzebe, Lindelof and Maguire is possibly something that I could see happening tomorrow. Now, some might say, you know, we're pretty poor against Sheffield United with Phil Jones in that position in the back three. He got hooked off at half-time. And I don't think that will mean the back three experiment is ended, because it almost kind of seemed to be, it was Phil Jones that was awful that day, so it may not be the formation. And we have seen, you know, we played against Liverpool with that formation at home. And with us having that weak midfield, it kind of allows us to have that little bit more protection at the back. We need to shift Pogba on ASAP and buy 2 decent midfielders. That's not going to happen, is it? That's not going to happen at all. We'll probably shift Pogba on. We won't replace him with 2 decent midfielders. What's going to happen next summer is we're going to lose Pogba, and then they're going to say we'll replace him, but they're not going to buy the midfield that, like with Herrera. Herrera left. We didn't even replace him. Like, we're seeing players leave and we're not replacing them. And I bet you if Pogba left, they'd say, we'll replace him with one midfielder. But we wouldn't get the extra one that we already needed. Kind of like the Tories and the nurses. All that doctors stuff. Just making numbers up for numbers' sake. I hope Andreas Pereira doesn't play. He's maybe a better sub than starter, says Ryan Bevin. He is a little bit better when the game's a little bit more open as well. When he's got time to think on the ball, it's pretty poor. We all love Ali, but that doesn't mean he's a good manager. We have to get proper world-class manager and improve our recruitment. What do you think about Ali? Says Wahid, I've done a video on it, as I said. I'm sick of going on about it. It gets boring talking about it. I said at the time when he was appointed, I feared he'd be out of his depth and we'd be looking at this position of potentially sacking him. I don't buy it. I'm never one of these Ali out or Ali in or Jose in or Jose out. I'm never one of those guys. I read it for what I think it is. I think he's out of his depth, but I also think the team isn't great. Those that are comparing this team to the one that Jose had, complete bonkers. It's nowhere near the same team. And I don't think, yes, I think we should be doing better, but how much better? I think we should maybe be being 5th or 6th in the league. You know, maybe closer to 4th, but I think that's as good as this team is at the moment, especially with Pogba and Martial missing for durations in the season. Having said that, though, you have to get results, and like I said, I think he's out of his depth. I think his ideas are good. I think what he's doing off the pitch is good. I think the recruitment in terms of the players he brought in has been good. I think in terms of, you know, changing the face of the team and the squad and getting players out that we didn't really want here at the club, that was good. But overall, that's not the whole job of a manager. That's one part of being the manager. You have to get every single part right. And if the results and the performances aren't coming, then you're going to be up for criticism. United will prove their haters wrong this week. I am an optimist, says Anches. I don't think it'd be proving anyone wrong. I think it actually be par for course, because we've seen inconsistencies in this team consistently. We're consistently inconsistent, if you will. We're always doing it where we play better in these big games, and it wouldn't surprise me if we won 1-0, had a good performance and a draw or something. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Thanks for watching, Wahid. Our defence would look so much better with a decent midfield. That's true as well. BM Racing. Mourinho wants to buy Maguire for 70 million. Woodward said no and brought him 1 year later for 8th. I don't know, man. I think you've got to look at situations at the clubs. I don't think Leicester probably would have let Maguire go at that time. I do agree that Woodward is a clown, and he's detrimental to Manchester United's recruitment policy, rather than being a positive influence. But I think Mourinho, apart from the last summer, he was backed. He did bring in Lindelof and Bailly. He did bring a lot of players. Now, that last summer, we should have brought a centre-half. We should have. I was saying it as well. I hate this to be. I get things wrong, but I've been saying I told you so a few times today. But I said it at the time. If we don't get a centre half, we're not going to have a great season, and we didn't. And that's the way it ended up. I think a lot of this rewriting of history about Mourinho, I don't buy into that. He deserved to get sacked at the time. I'm glad he's not at Manchester United anymore. But we'll thank him for what he did at the club in terms of winning those 2 trophies. This game is one of those on Amazon Prime, isn't it, Steve, RFC? I think all the Premier League games, which are tonight, Wednesday and Thursday, are on Amazon Prime. We are getting closer and closer to the relegation spots. We need to win no matter what before things go out of control, says Anches. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like a situation of, you can take a hit on results when you're trying to build something and you're trying to develop players and you're trying to do all that. But how much of a hit can you take? Because 27% win ratio is just not good enough, no matter which way you try and shape things. And especially when you look at the games like Sheffield United, Villa. These are games we should be winning. There's no excuses for not winning them. So, we don't miss Fellaini at all, Justin. I think that's rubbish. I think because we haven't replaced players, because we never replaced Lukaku, because we never replaced Fellaini and Herrera in midfield, because we never even replaced Jose Mourinho with a proper manager, people start to look at these people and think, oh, we should have kept him. No, we shouldn't have kept him. Fellaini should have went. Fellaini should have went a long time ago. Lukaku, maybe you could have seen a future for him at the club, but he should have went ultimately. Herrera, yeah, I would have kept him, but he went. It wasn't the end of the world. Mourinho deserved to get sacked. You know, you can't start rewriting history. The problem was we haven't replaced any of these figures properly. We haven't replaced. And the recruitment at both a senior level in terms of staff and all that, and at player level, isn't good enough. Isn't good enough at all. John D agrees, says he doesn't agree that Fellaini is missed. Thank you for tuning in, Dig Vijay. I really do appreciate it. It's on Amazon Prime, like I just said, mate. There is 4 teams that finished second in the league for 5 years in a row. Do you think that's not? It's not, you know, that's quite incredible, isn't it? When you think about it. And that's going to be a different team finishing second because Liverpool are going to win the league. What an awful time to be alive. God. I didn't think I'd ever see this, to be totally honest with you. Yeah, we do miss Herrera in the midfield. We really do miss Herrera in the midfield. Keep those comments coming in. Remember, if you got any super chats, super stickers, I'll be reading those out as well. But keep your regular comments coming in too as well, because they make the show, they make the channel. We keep those coming in. I keep replying to them. It extends this stream rather than me just, you know, giving my predicted 11, giving my predictions and all that. We'll have a little bit of a chat about how everyone's feeling before the game comes along. Anyway, we're going to move on now to predicted 11 time, and this is my predicted 11. So Scott McTominay could be back, so I'm erring on the positive side with this, that he's going to be involved. I've gone with Ollie going back to a back three. I think he'll bring Shaw in for Brandon Williams. Now, me personally, I'd go with Brandon Williams again. You know, consistency, keep him in the team. Hopefully you see him improve. I'm not going to say he's been excellent. I think he had a bad game against Villa. But you'd think, you know, competitive games consistently will help him improve. I think he'll bring Shaw in, though, again. And I think he'll go to a back three. Lindelof, Tuanzebe, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, McTominay, if he's back, Fred and Luke Shaw, Jesse Lingard, Martial, Rashford. That's what I think he'll go with. If McTominay isn't available, please play James Garner or Dylan Levitt. I don't think it's fair to reward the performances of what Pereira has been putting in recently with starts, especially in big games. It's not fair at all. I think take him out of the team. I don't think that's the end of him. You know, use him from the bench if you need to. He could still possibly be a useful player this season, especially with the lack of depth and quality we have. But I do think he should be coming out of the team for this game. Thank you for the nice comment, Josh. I do appreciate it. Tuanzebe central in a three is mad. Yeah, mate, sorry. I just put the three centre halves. Yeah, Maguire would probably be central of that, to be totally honest with you. So, yeah, ignore where they are in that back three. I just think that will be the back three. Could James not play central instead of Jesse, says BMW Red. Jesse hasn't been great at all. Remember, this is my predicted 11. Jesse hasn't been in form at all. But I think Daniel James put in a lot of effort the other day, took a lot of whacks. I think his final ball wasn't great. There was one cross that went across the box that I thought was good. His effort and everything's quality. But the final ball, and I don't think it was good enough. I also don't think the movement was good enough either. So I'm not just blaming him. But I think get a front two of Martial and Rashford. And if you play in that back three, there's no space for Daniel James really, because he's not a number 10, unless you play him in one of those number two, in one of those front two positions. So that's just what I think now. You could you play him in Luke Shaw's position, in that wing back kind of position, given how much he runs. Maybe, just maybe, I don't know, but maybe that's a Jose Mourinho-like decision to do, isn't it? The last game we played against Spurs was that 1-0 win at Wembley in 2019. I've already told you who scored the goal in that game. It was Marcus Rashford. Is in incredible form at the moment as well, scoring a whole host of goals consistently, week in, week out. Marcus Rashford is finding the back of the net. Now, his goal against Villa was given as an own goal, wasn't it? Unfortunately, which will be frustrating for him because it was probably going back in anyway. It didn't look like it was going out. But let me see. Let me get his record up at the moment. So 19-20 in the Premier League, 7 goals. I'd say 8 goals in 14 games. So not a bad record for him in the Premier League at all. He's scoring a lot of goals recently as well. You're looking in the last few games, he got a goal in 5 of his last 6 games. In 7 of his last 9 games, he's scored, and he's got 8 goals in his last 9. He's in incredible form at the moment, Marcus Rashford, and it's great to see. Long may it continue with Marcus Rashford in there. Hilaire thinks United won't sign any players in January. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Cheese says Shaw's United career is a disappointment. We didn't get anywhere near the player we thought we would when we brought him. It's true. We had that spell, didn't we, under Van Aalen after the injury. He's never returned to that man again, unfortunately, which is really frustrating. Michael Wander's in there with the old Ollie out. Dele is the man to watch. Is reborn under Jose Sanchez, which moves us on nicely to Tottenham Hotspur. And I think, is it every game under Jose they've conceded 2, but they have won. I think 2 of those were 3-2. One of those was 4-2 against Olympiacos. So they've scored 10 goals under Jose in 3 games, but they conceded 6. So they are conceding goals, much like Manchester United, but they're also scoring goals. And unlike Manchester United at the moment, they're on the right end of those goal fests in terms of winning the games and coming out on top. Now, I do think they were obviously going to get that immediate lift from bringing in Jose Mourinho. When you look at their squad is full of players that are in around their peak years. And when you look at that, they'll react to someone like Jose that's won more trophies than anyone there. And they'll get that bounce. And I think he'll do well with their team in the immediate short-term future. Whether he gets to change that team, whether he gets the money, I think we'll see the same issues from Jose down the line in terms of clashes with the board and clashes with his players, and eventually it'll fizzle out. But I think in the short term, he will have some success with them, because you look at them already, he's getting a reaction out of Dele Alli, he's turning him into a bastard, which is a good thing, by the way. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Maybe things got too nice under Poch, and he's maybe turning some of these into the immediate hungry winners that they wanted to be under Poch. Now, I think it's unfair to say Poch didn't make them winners, because Poch made them what they are now. But I think especially in the domestic cups, they could be a lot better. And especially, now, you would have looked at this game and thought possible 3 points here if they were still had Poch and they were still in trouble under him. But with that lift, with Jose Mourinho coming back to Old Trafford, all sorts of headlines could be written there. Harry Kane, obvious threat. Heung-min Son, obvious threat. Dele Alli's found his form as well. He seems to be playing a 4-2-3-1 formation. Does Jose Mourinho, which is, I think he had Vertonghen at left back the other day. Right back was Aurier, I think. Davinson Sanchez and Alderweireld. Then you've got Eric Dyer, and then either Ndombele or Harry Winks or whoever in there. And then further forward, you've obviously got a Christian Eriksen or a Dele Alli in the hole. It'll probably be Dele Alli. He's been speaking about Christian Eriksen in terms of whether he wants to be at the club or not. He needs to see some sort of commitment. So Christian Eriksen's probably not going to start. Then out wide, you're going to have Son. You're going to have Lucas Moura potentially. And you're going to have Harry Kane. So you're looking at a 4-2-3-1 formation and a very strong lineup from this Spurs side. But nevertheless, we have seen United beat a Spurs side that were in pretty good form in January. Obviously, we had Pogba available, which I think was a big difference in terms of allowing us to hit them on the counter-attack, allowing us to find those passes. Sissoko, as well, in the midfield. How could I forget about Sissoko? It does look like Jose has taken to him. But yeah, we haven't got the luxury of having Paul Pogba in midfield, which is a shame. Which I do think will go with the back three, go with a 3-4-1-2, try and get that energy in behind Martial and Rashford, and try and find them that way, while also allowing McTominay to protect us a little bit at the back. If we went with a 4-2-3-1 and matched them up, you're looking at, I'd go with Tuanzebe and Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Brandon Williams or Luke Shaw, McTominay, Fred. Then you're looking at, out wide, Danny James, Rashford, Martial up top. In the middle, in this game, I'd go with Jesse Lingard. I really would. I wouldn't play Andreas Pereira. I think Jesse Lingard's energy and enthusiasm could be good. Obviously, he hasn't been in form, but maybe that goal that he got against Aston, maybe the half-decent performance when he came on against Sheffield United could be a boost for him, and it can help us, push towards getting 3 points against Spurs. But it's going to be a very, very difficult game. And like you can see there on the screen, I've gone for my prediction of a 1-1 draw. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of emotions for Jose Mourinho coming back to Manchester United, coming back to the club and everything. But I think we'll cancel each other out maybe. United will get the early goal. Kane will grab a late one or something. And United will drop points again. But it'll be a draw that will probably be a good result given where we are at the minute, where Spurs are in terms of they're on a rise with their new manager. We've hit a sticky patch. 27% win ratio speaks for itself. And a draw actually against Spurs probably be a good result, which shows exactly where we are at the moment. And like I said in the video I posted yesterday, that nightmare before Christmas could be unfurling before our eyes. We could possibly see at the end of this week Manchester United being without a manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being sacked. Jose Mourinho beats him, Pep beats him, we could get sacked. The club have obviously, and well, not we could get sacked, he could get sacked. The club have obviously said that they're backing him, said that publicly they're right behind him and they're giving him time. But if you're not getting results, if we don't win the next 2 games, what's that win ratio going to be then? 23, 22%. It looks even worse, and it's hard to defend that stuff. I love Ollie, absolute club legend. Nothing will ever change what he achieved for the club as a player. But you don't want to see him put through the ringer as a manager. And you don't want to be seeing him out of his depth for much longer if that is the case. Hopefully we get a reaction from the team. Hopefully he can turn this around. But I'm starting to feel it looks like the writing is on the wall. Nevertheless, fingers crossed Manchester United can get a good result against Tottenham Hotspur on Wednesday night at Old Trafford. Remember, I'll have plenty of content coming your way. We'll have the reaction on Full-Time Devils in fan cams and my review. I'll be live on this channel here. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you're hitting those notifications. We'll be live as soon as I've finished fan cam. So usually about 45 minutes to an hour after that final whistle, I'll be live on Adam McKola TV as I walk back to the car from Old Trafford on the forecourt right back to my car. So make sure you join us then as well. Make sure you're keeping it locked. If you missed the Nightmare Before Christmas, then make sure when you finish this video, you just click onto my channel and go and watch that. It's a good 13-15 minute video for you, which I'm sure you'll enjoy. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in to Adam McKola TV. You've all been absolute legends. I appreciate every single last one of you. If you've enjoyed this show, then on your way out, hit the like button. For now, I have been Adam McKola. I'm out of here.